Hey everybody, it's Coach Jan, and I am in Beverly Hills at a park in Beverly Hills that I've never been to, honestly, and I'm happy to be here for the first time and recording this Justice for Hire's Tai Chi to the People. We've been off for a few weeks, but we are back, and I want to connect the two communities because my Tai Chi community on my Tai Chi YouTube channel has been really active, and thanks everybody for the great comments. And I have gotten a lot of requests for Yang style Neigong, so we're going to do some of that today. And for all the folks on the Justice for Hire community, all the new folks that have joined, thank you. That's awesome. And to connect you two communities, Justice for Hire is a show that I'm producing that anybody can join the cast right from their phone, right from justiceforhire.app, and you can create your own character and essentially shoot your own scenes as that character in a shared cinematic universe, which is our app. It's the first show from my production company slash studio. It's a startup. And it's called Real World. And we are the world's first social film studio, meaning that we're a social network meets a film and TV studio. So I am on a tour right now, driving around LA, passing out flyers for Justice for Hire and for Real World, because not only do we want more cast members, but we want people to know they can own part of our company on wefunder.com/realworld. That's wefunder.com/realworld. So that's REELWURLD. So this is obviously a major component of my daily experience, and just being able to share Tai Chi within this experience is a big deal for me. And thank you everybody for watching. So I've been asked several times to do a Yang style, a more detailed Yang style video of the when I say Yang style, I mean the Neigong, the Yang Neigong. There's Yin Neigong, Yang Neigong. And the Yin I teach is from, and both of them are from the Wu style Tai Chi. And I'm going to share in order these exercises, but there's one in particular, and maybe today I'm on the fence with doing the first exercise versus doing this one exercise that I think is one of the most powerful exercises. I'm going to lean with this one. I'm going to go with Sleeping Tiger Rolls Over. And I've done some videos before that have touched on this idea, but I want to really share Sleeping Tiger Rolls Over, and I want to find a great position for this camera because I'm in this park that I've never been to before. And there's a position right there. So Sleeping Tiger Rolls Over is amazing for the waist. As a matter of fact, waist power, it's very important to understand the difference. Tai Chi to me is all about the difference between waist power and hip power, because Tai Chi is all about integration. But to integrate, sometimes you have to isolate first. So you integrate and then you isolate. And this exercise really helps, is an integration exercise utilizing the waist and the hips. So let Adam in here. And so move over to Adam. What's going on, Adam? Good to see you. So we are going to do Sleeping Tiger Rolls Over today. A lot of people have been requesting Yang style Neigong, and Sleeping Tiger Rolls Over is a later part of the set. And I'll shoot a more detailed video of this when I do them all in order. But I want to share this one today because I was doing it this morning, and I made a commitment to myself recently to keep doing this exercise daily, because it really is the greatest waist exercise that I've ever encountered in terms of push hand strength, which means grappling strength for those who are grapplers. In stand up, being able to manipulate the weight of your opponent with ease, especially minimizing the tension in the arms and in the fingertips. So if you have the waist and the hips coordinated, backing up your arm strength, etc., then you'll be able to utilize less of arm strength to accomplish your goal of placing your opponent where you want. So here in Beverly Hills Park, right now, we're gonna do this exercise. Let me find this little camera position, see how this works for you guys. I'm gonna make myself, that looks good? Okay, great.
I got a request, Jen.
All right, so how is the audio? Audio is good. Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
All right, so if everything's great, thank you for quality assurance over here, Adam. So I'll say that this exercise So important to you can see that. There we go. Great. All right. Wonderful. So Sleeping Tiger rolls over from the Wu style of Tai Chi. It's going to have with it an A-frame. So you're going to have your A-frame straight line from the back heel to the top of the head. And the nose over the knee over the big toe. I will stand with both feet shoulder width apart and parallel. And normally we do our uplifting heaven exercise and all of our warm-ups, but today I want to be a little more to the point of this particular exercise. You'll note that when you're in this position, and some of you Wu stylists may have encountered this, I was originally taught the Wu style with hips and shoulders square forward. And that doesn't mean straight, that means whatever my forward is, hips and shoulders are square. I do not do that anymore. In fact, and I haven't done it for years, because maintaining the square posture here causes tension right in the groin on the lead leg side. So when you open up the hip, you'll feel that bit of tension right here. And you really instead want to soften into that front leg. And the reason I'm saying this is because of grappling and because of push hands. And I'll say, let me lead that again. I'll say push hands and then grapple. Because if you can be strong in push hands, you're going to be stronger in grappling. So, and just because you're strong in grappling does not necessarily mean you're strong in push hands. So let's lead with the push hands concept. Softening the back hip into the front groin, soften, let that hip fall in. Notice that it winds up the body naturally. So you have this natural spring and you can spring out of it. If you hold here square forward, it'll essentially cause, unless you're doing it intentionally, it could definitely cause tension that you may not be conscious of. And so I highly recommend softening. And that'll help you with the nose over the knee over the big toe. Without that, notice that it pulls your head away from that line, that toe, knee, nose line. I'll come a little closer. Nose, toe, knee, nose. And Adam, how is the shadow? I see some shadow on me, so I'm wondering if I'm in the best light for this. Here, I'll just slide it over just a little bit so you guys get it. There we go. Look at that. That looks like it's a little bit better. Great. So, toe, knee, nose. Toe, knee, nose. With that said, we're going to put one hand up and straight. Whatever hand is back, it doesn't matter really which one you start with, but let's do whatever leg is back, we'll put that hand forward. One hand forward. Remember, I have scar tissue on my wrists, for those of you that train with me regularly, so I can't turn my palms all the way up on either hand. So note that this exercise is going to have the palms up for me. Sorry, we got getting a call coming in, and I'm going to stop this. All right, hold on one second. Stopping that. Yeah, no, I have a block call from this right now. All right, there we go. Back to it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. One hand out, back hand out. Other hand to the side, 90 degrees. And with this exercise, you're going to keep whatever arm is out on the side. It's only going to come down and forward to replace the other one. You may see people doing this exercise, swinging the arms, but it has to be led by the breath, activating the waist. So the palm that's to the side is going to have the palm downward, special tension in the middle finger of that hand. The one that's forward, palm up, special tension in the middle finger. Your nose and the finger are on one line. So your nose is just as high, your finger is just as high as the nose. And you're going to cover. And we're going to do there are 5 variations that I do of this exercise. We're going to do the first variation. The first variation is going to have a very small movement with the hand. And you'll see how that manifests here. A gentle sliding up. To get into the sun, get you a little more detail here. Notice how the side hand's coming down and scooping up with the power of the hip Notice I'm digging my hip forward to help catalyze the hand coming up. The hip is whipping the waist. The waist is coming up. And I'm reaching with the fingertips. Not so much that my hand or my arm straightens. My arm never locks. So what I'm doing is I'm reaching through the curve. And I talk about this a lot, but these gentle, natural curves that we have when we do our postures, extending all the way through them and for whatever shape you have. So that means if you have a very small shape, you could still reach through the curve. Here's Tai Chi reverse breathing, reaching through the curve. This is a very strong posture. And I'm reaching. These fingers are reaching, these fingers are reaching, and I'm extending. My elbows extending out. My shoulder blades are extending into the back, opening up. So when you're longer, it's the same idea. So I'm extending, reaching through the curve, reaching out here, reaching more so, emphasizing the finger that I'm looking at. And then I'm going to cover. The breath, I normally give one breath per movement. So I inhale, draw the color in. Exhale, push the color out, meaning that I'm visualizing my breath as a color as I'm inhaling into the lower dantian, which is 3 finger lengths below the belly button. I'm using my belly to breathe, pulling the oxygen in, and giving that sensation of visualization that I keep that visualization going with my eyes open. I map it into my own body. And then I exhale, push it through my arms like a hose. Right here. So again, this small, I want to give you a little detail here. This small movement right here is coming from the waist. From extension, boom, coming down. I'm doing only one arm right now. So that same, imagine this arm, this is to the side. Now it's going to come up and it scoops, and then boom. Very small, just the palm goes up, scooping up palm, scooping down, and then the hand relaxes and goes to the side. This would be considered the yin hand. And the yang hand is the extended hand. The extended fingertips are the activated fingertips. So the softened hand is the outside hand. Inhale, activate through and exhale out. And let's put this over here. See if I can get you. Okay, it seems like Adam is actually getting it, which is phenomenal, which means that you guys can actually see. Still concerned about that. All right, so we'll switch legs now. And normally with these variations, this is my thing about variations. When you have variations of a particular move, the way I learned these moves was one variation at a time over the course of several months or years. So I spent a lot of time getting really comfortable with one particular movement. And then if I were to switch, when I switch that movement in any particular way, then that becomes it becomes a new challenge to find the variation in my own body and to make it my own. So I say that just as a means to put that up a little bit more. There we go. I say that as a means to help guide this process. This is the singular one. Let's switch legs. Very small circle. This small circle was not the first one I learned, but it's the first one I do in the morning when I start doing this set. I'll do it from the front. Notice that it's coming out to the side. And once again, the coordination, hip, waist, hand. Starting with the breath, catalyzes the chain of hip, waist, hand. So I exhale, hip, waist, hand. And when I say hip, waist, hand, I only mean for the hand that's coming from the side to up. The other hand, the one that's out front, has its own chain reaction that is happening simultaneously. I can't stress this enough. These chain reactions, which are essentially attention circuits. And when I say attention circuits, I mean that you are creating a circuit with your attention and allowing your attention to move in a specific order, catalyzed by the breath. And eventually you take out the breath and you just do it with willpower. So it's really, really important to have the hierarchy, the order in place, and that hip, waist, fingertip is happening here on the side, yin hand. Hip, waist, fingertip coming up. And notice that the finger here is leading. The finger here is leading the motion and then scooping up and forward. Scooping up and forward for the reach. Now, let's talk about the other hand. So this other hand has the pretty much opposite chain reaction. The opposite chain reaction here is inhaling and scooping in, or exhaling and pushing out, either whichever breath you're on, through the hand. So if I'm exhaling, I'm pushing breath, color visualization through the hand that's going down as I'm scooping up with the other one. If I'm inhaling, I'm pulling the color visualization in while I'm pushing it out the other hand. And you have to prioritize based on your own experience and your own desire, which one you're emphasizing. And I do recommend emphasizing the lead hand the most, and sometimes even switching the attention circuit, the emphasis of the attention circuit midway. So I'll be more specific of what I mean by that. So attention over here, hip, waist, fingers, inhaling, pulling in. And I'm emphasizing that. And now I'm exhaling, pushing out that right hand. And now I switch right here, switching the attention to the lead hand. And sometimes I'll even split the attention, meaning inhaling through both fingertips, exhaling through both fingertips, inhaling through both fingertips, exhaling through both fingertips. And we're going to focus on this variation today, but I am going to show you the other variations right now. So the other variations are, we already did one, so two is using the elbow. And notice that the elbow is waving. And it's cover, scooping up, cover, scooping up, cover, scooping up. I'm gonna try this over here as another potentially better version of this. Cover, scooping up. Notice that my head stays still, meaning toe, knee, nose, straight line from the back heel to the top of the head, switching legs. So the next variation is going to loosen, or should I say, connect the head to the rest of the movement. Now the head is moving and the body is swinging even more. So this is variation 3. Variation 4 is to make an overemphasis of the waist movement. Notice now I'm making these big loops from the side. Big movements with the waist here. Much bigger than the others. And variation 5 is reverse breathing Tai Chi. So this is not in the traditional Yang Neigong set. I've added this because the mechanic is so important for being able to maintain your balance while moving an opponent off of their route. So here, now we take the same concept and we soften the hands downward. Straight line from the back of the heel to the top. And when you exhale, soften, inhale, pulling in. Fingertips up. And now these fingertips in the back are reaching down. Boom, right here. Exhale, soften. Notice that my knee is starting to bend. Inhale, I straighten that back leg. Straighten up. These fingers, my lead fingers, index, middle finger, thumb, are reaching and spinning, spiraling up. Index, middle finger, thumb of the back hands are reaching down. They're reaching down as if I'm going to grab like a pistol. So reaching down, but the emphasis is on the upper hand. This is a much softer intention with the downward hands. And once you create that shape, you soften it out, exhaling down. Inhaling up. Really reaching through the curve of the lead hand, opening up the shoulder blades, opening up the hip, and the waist turns, exhale down. Inhaling up. Up, exhale down. Inhaling up, exhale down. Inhaling up, exhale down. Very, very soft. But you should feel the stretch, and the stretch, again, is reaching through the curve. I'm not stretching my arms out. I'm not locking myself trying to stretch and reach. I'm maintaining the shape and seeing how far I can go. And I'm moving my mind through the body, saying, okay, shoulder blade can go in more. Shoulder itself extends. Elbow pushes forward more. Wrists, fingers jumping out of the wrists. When I say fingers jumping out of the wrists, Adam knows this very, very well from one of his very accomplished teachers. The fingers jumping out of the wrist, but not so much that all the hands are stretching in all the fingers are stretching in all directions. Just index, middle finger, and thumb, reaching and spinning, jumping out. So all of those little details are happening right here. And when you're playing with an opponent, we'll get back to variation 1 in a moment. But when you're playing with an opponent, and let's say you both have right leg forward, and you're spinning up and you're pushing on their left shoulder with your right hand. You have your other hand here. Boom. You have your hand on their wrist, you're spinning up their shoulder, and they're spinning on that back leg, or potentially they're trying to come into the front leg, you open up your back leg and turn them off. So this is a very common position, and it's not talked about a lot because it's so common. So it's one of those things where these exercises and the variations, each one of them helps you, and I'll actually go through each one of them quickly again, just to talk about, in my experience, what it's helped me with, so that you guys can contemplate and ideate around that. And I'm sure those who are more familiar with this have their own stories and experiences about it. So this one, the first variation coming up, that small circle on the hands, small circle right here on the, and it's still happening in the hip. It's still, look at my hip, my waist. Obviously I'm bending for the camera, but this is still an example. No matter what my posture is, the mechanics all work together in a similar way. So here, so I find these to be super helpful with the very subtle pulls. If I'm snatching a hand down, or I do in Tai Chi they would call it le, where you're pulling down, and but essentially sticking to the opponent and sucking them in with a drop of your weight, coordinated with their pressure. So their pressure comes in, I'm sucking that pressure down. So here, sucking it down and moving to the side. That's variation 1. It's very effective in that. To make that a really practical example, just gentle movements of my hands, circles on the hands, coordinated with my waist on someone else's arm. That's what I mean by that. It's variation 2, when we start to add the forearm. Forearm, this is fairly obvious as well. So you're here, you might be playing with somebody, in my experience, being able to just use the forearms to pummel in, to move someone, to connect my forearm to their forearm, or the pocket of their elbow, and to move them out of the way. And also just generally blocking, blocking and redirecting pressure with the greater surface area of the forearm. This exercise is really, really helpful. Again, when I bend for the camera, that does not negate the mechanics. So the mechanics, regardless if I do it in this particular posture or not, are still the mechanics, and they're applicable, and they're very flexible in how they're applied. So, boom. Variation 3, adding the head, really just starts to give the, what I would call a more realistic full body penetration when it comes to your opponent's guard. So if I'm taking the back, meaning I'm doing an arm drag and coming around, or I'm grappling with somebody and they grab my head and I have to drop my body weight and step through, look up and look around and put my head on their body. These exercises, first staying very disciplined with the head straight and then relaxing and connecting the head to the rest of the body. This very much helps in those moments for me in wrestling, when I have to use the full body power with my head to move an opponent. Additionally, it's very, very helpful when maintaining my balance as a counter to counter someone's pressure. So if I'm pushing and I reach through here, at times, depending on the situation, my head positioning is really going to make or break my balance. So sometimes I have to be like this, sometimes I have to be like this. So just being able to be flexible and comfortable in both scenarios where I'm responding to someone's pressure and ideally taking it and making something great out of it and getting the point or making them move and keeping my ground. This exercise is, this variation number 3 is very, very helpful for that. And especially if you're doing more traditional push hands drills, meaning the 2 push, anyway, even the 1 push, the 1 push, 2 push, like multi-push drills that can be organized into dalu, etc. These exercises, moving the head and the body at the same time, are very helpful for calm, flexibility, etc. Variation, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the variation 4, where you really whip the waist even more, again, just kind of doubles down on that, but it also helps with the flexibility, meaning the strength that it takes to really move an opponent and to throw them around you. And when I say throw, I don't necessarily mean grab. I mean to redirect their pressure on very precise, sharp angles requires you, without moving your feet or without stepping and lifting your foot, requires you to have an immense amount of flexibility and control in the waist. And that's not me saying that I am the most, I have the most flexible waist by any means. I have an incredibly strong waist with a great amount of control within the flexibility, within the range that I have. So I have a particular range that I do not consider super flexible, but I have a lot of strength and a lot of control in the range that I do have. And that to me is one of the greatest gifts that Tai Chi has given me, is the understanding that it doesn't matter how overtly flexible you are in any particular move. It really matters more so about how much control and how much control you have over yourself and the outcomes that you want with your body or with the mind, etc. So being able to work with what you have in an optimized way, whatever it is that you have, is one of the greatest gifts of Tai Chi. So this exercise, making it really overt, is just you training yourself to be more flexible with whatever you got. And then when you have to do bigger moves, like take somebody from one side and move them all the way around to the other side. Notice where I'm pointing. When you have to do those big types of throws where by nature of you repositioning somebody for so long, eventually they lose their footing. And when they lose their footing, that's when they go down. So that's one of the coolest things about push hands to me, is that you're really, it's magical. I mean, there's no magic to it at all. There's zero magic to it, you know. But it looks so magical and it feels so delightful because of your flexibility, control, and your precision. So again, if you were taking an opponent from one direction to the other, notice that I pivot my back heel, I open up, pivot my other back heel, and I go all the way around. That's just one example of a move that this waist movement helps a lot with. Now let's talk about this one again. Number 5, inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up. I'm just going to do this a little bit more, get into the reverse breathing mechanics. The reverse breathing mechanics are going to sleep and waking up. So that's one key component to the reverse breathing mechanics. Inhaling, waking up, energizing the fingertips, exhaling down, going to sleep. Inhaling, waking up, energizing the fingertips, exhaling, dropping down, going to sleep. Inhaling, waking up. So that wake up, go to sleep, that should feel like you're taking a sheet, your sheet on your bed, and you're just giving it a little whip so you can get any, maybe you ate some crackers in bed, you have some crumbs, and you're doing this waking up, going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep. That rhythm, and I'm going to make some more videos talking about rhythm and timing in Tai Chi, because it's really not talked about a lot at all. But that rhythm is something that you want to have control over for yourself, which makes you incredibly strong. That, like, knowing that rhythm of when to go to sleep, when to bring your weight down, when to bring your weight into an opponent and fall asleep into the opponent, and when to wake up on the opponent. These things essentially create the perception of weight, and it makes the opponent feel like you are heavier than you actually are. And that's one of the most amazing things. So I cannot emphasize shifting your breathing pattern for this final variation. Inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down. Again, I'll make more detailed videos on this in the future. And going right back to this first one we were talking about, reaching out through the fingertips, down, being very disciplined. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Remember that back hip, reaching, reaching, reaching. Exhale. The front hip, turning, reaching. Notice on the side, my back hip is turning. My front hip is turning. And to be clear, you don't need to overemphasize it. I might have overemphasized it a little bit here. You don't really need to do that. That's completely unnecessary. So what you really want to do is get that pop. And the pop, I say the pop because even done slowly, it is explosive. So done slowly, these things are still explosive. And it's really important to allow yourself to feel the explosiveness in the slow movement, like a slow motion explosion. Because when you can perceive it as that, when you move faster, or even if you maintain that slower speed with a partner doing push hands, they're going to feel that explosion, and they will likely react. Especially if they have less experience, they will likely react with sudden jolts of readjusting their posture, and those sudden jolts create the breaks in their form and their structure that allow you to insert the rest of your strategy. So really, really important stuff: timing, rhythm, strategy, the explosiveness of even the slow movements. So here, reaching up, and if you ever perceive something to be fast, like for example, right now I have to slow myself down for my fingertips. Right here, my fingers are moving too fast for me. And when I say too fast for me, I mean that I'm not perceiving the pulling of the breath in through the fingers. So now I'm starting to slow it down. And I have to work on my right hand a little more. My left hand is slower, my right hand is faster. So I have to still work on my right hand. And so and this is subtle. This is really subtle. So I'm going to do my best to do it right here with you guys. My left hand, look at that particular detail. So I have tension. So I'm gauging myself right now. I have tension on the bottom. I'm reading my hand. I have tension on the bottom near my pinky, the bottom of the blade of the hand. So I have to soften. There we go. I have to soften there. So that means I have to go into my muscles. I have to bring my attention into the muscles. I have to start slowing it down. And if there's too much tension, I have to be, if it's woven, the tension's woven together like these sticks, I have to start pulling the muscle fibers with my mind. I literally have to use my mind, visualize the fibers or the tension as structured net. This is my process. And I start to unravel those knots or pull apart those those crossing tense tendons and muscles, and I start to align them. And when I align them, then I can feel the circulation more. And when I can feel the circulation, I get more data. And when I get more data, I can slow down even more and perceive more, and then I can utilize all that information later. And every little adjustment that I start to make still requires me to do the same process over and over again. So as I stood up, I started adding my hips again to emphasize that dynamism between the fingertips and the hips that are again catalyzed by the breath work. So I just got my left hand back, but now my right hand still has that tension. So I have to reevaluate myself. And this is part of why Tai Chi, to me, is so cool, because you have to do it. You're gonna, you have to do the work, and it can be really fun finding it in yourself and readjusting. Switching legs. Again, straight line from the back heel to the top of the head, your A-frame, nose, knee, toe. Obviously, I don't have no nose, knee, toe right now. Look at how my knee is not over my toe. So I soften and I go a little bit forward, but not so much to go past the knee, which puts undue pressure onto the kneecap. So I keep it, I stop right at the knee, right at the toe, and then I soften that back hip into that front groin. And then I have my nice A-frame. It's gonna wear my hat. And reaching out from the side. Notice that my hand doesn't go past my hip. My side arm does not go past my hip. It stays on an imaginary line painted across the hips. If my hips were square, I'd keep that line from side to side and I would not go past it. It's not to say that it's a bad thing to go past it. This is just part of the discipline of this particular movement. Otherwise, you might get this kind of thing. And I've seen people doing this in the parks, this exercise, and you know, it feels nice, but we control the parameters that we set for ourselves. So when you set the parameters in this exercise or any exercise, you want to stick to those parameters for the reasons that you've contemplated, that hopefully you've tested with real training, meaning with another person who is non-agreeable, to see that does this stuff work, does it not work. So I can testify that this 100%, this exercise is absolutely phenomenal. And I find this scooping right here to be great for underhooks, meaning like I'm throwing a hook here, like I'm throwing an uppercut or a hook to the body. But when someone puts the underhook on you, you underhook their arm, and that is essentially a defense. It's offense as defense. So it gets them to oftentimes try to pull their arm out because you can put some pressure on their shoulder. That's not to say you can't do it back here, but it's a different momentum. So here you go. I keep this momentum from the side and up, side and up. Yeah, deep, and just stretch that out for a second. Stretch that out, reaching over and up, exhaling down. Looks like we're doing some embodiment stuff. You just really feel, just feel yourself. I have so many friends that do that kind of stuff. It's great. It's actually awesome. I do not do that as much, but sometimes I need a little embodiment break. So, and I'm just checking the time here. What time? Okay, great. So today. That is what I think is probably the most valuable thing. And Adam, if you have any questions, I'm happy to dive deeper for the next few minutes on any questions regarding this exercise. And while if you have any questions, Carlos, everybody should stretch while Adam's talking.
Can you hear me? Hello, check.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed how, okay, so I'm getting into the A-frame, knee to the toes, to like just to the point where I can see the tip of my toes, knees hit that, and my nose, and that's how I know my nose is there. I've got that straight line from the back of, so like if I'm trying to turn sideways, right, foot, knee to the toes, nose to the knee, drop in and head up, and I've got that straight line. And then back leg, arm up to the right. And then I can feel how when I come up here and out, right, I've got something coming across here.
So two notes there. One, the chin should be tucked slightly like a boxer.
Chin tucked, got it?
Yeah, very similar to boxing. And the head up is now relative to your back heel. So the straight line from the back heel to the top of the head, that diagonal line is now your up. And your middle finger of your lead hand is going to be no higher than your nose. Yeah, the nose line. And the palm, or should I say the elbow, should be below the shoulder. And meaning that if you soften your extended arm's elbow slightly to create a more rounded, your side arm is fantastic. The lead arm, softening it a little bit to bring it slightly down. So if you're here, softening it a little bit downward, because this is going to be the most, this is part of reaching through the curve, but it's also going to be the most martial for you, meaning that when you play with any particular partner or opponent, it's going to be more challenging for them to do damage to that joint.
And so when I've got it right, when I feel it right, I get this movement at the bottom of my ribs that is very foreign, and I know I'm working muscles that I don't usually get to, the bottom of the float, like by the floating ribs, and it feels really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. So that's essentially the obliques all the way around, the muscles wrapping around the waist. It just works all of them, and also massages the intestines and organs in a beautiful way. So you really get a lot of and while we're talking, I highly recommend just going into any stretch that you can. Right now, I'm just spreading my legs apart and reaching with the arms. For everybody that watches this, I can't stress enough that if you don't stretch after you train, then you haven't finished training. So you have to do the stretching. It's just part of the longevity practice. But yeah, man, that's great that you're feeling that, and like I said, I'm doing it at this point. I have to be so precise with my time, and I know that this exercise gives me more than any other waist movement exercise. And when I really want to, like, the grappling belly, the grappling muscles are different than the calisthenic, or if I'm attempting to sculpt, I'll do more like sit-ups and I'll do more, etc. And sit-ups are totally wonderful and helpful, but oftentimes I will emphasize, if I really need the strength, I will emphasize this. And yeah, it's doing it at least even every other day. It can be massively valuable. So I can't stress that enough. And let's finish up with our usual routine. There we go. I'll jump in the sun for you guys. Potential sun damage. Hopefully not. All right. So feet 2 fists apart. Soften the hands. And inhaling, breath lifts the wrist. Fingers reach to the back. Chest, the sky, hips forward, weight on the toes. Exhale, butt back, fingers forward. Reaching, pushing the color through the hands. Keeping the legs straight as possible. If that means you can't go that far down, that's okay, but keep the legs straight. And if you can't go far, that's great. And touch the toes to the ground, and then soften the knees, exhaling, like you're going to sleep, that same intent. Slowly sleep, exhaling even more. Inhale, breath lifts the wrists lift the body, breath lifts the wrists. Like your backs of your fingertips are gliding on the heart. Reach to the back. Energize the fingertips as you reach. Then you draw more breath in. Reach to the ceiling, to the sky. Reach the hips forward, the weight on the toes. Exhale, butt back, fingers forward. Pushing the colors of the hand. Soften the knees. Inhale up. And a nice Shaolin stretch. 1 foot forward. Exhale. exhale, pushing the breath to fingertips, touch the toe, inhaling up, switch legs, exhaling down, stretch, inhaling up. And we're going to switch 45 degrees, exhaling down, inhaling up. Switch legs 45 degrees, exhaling down, inhaling up. Switch legs 90 degrees, exhaling down, inhaling up. Switch legs another 90, exhaling down, inhaling up. Going onto the toes and exhale. Wash the breath as a color, like white light down the legs. Inhaling up, turn to the right. Exhale, wash the breath down. Inhaling up, turn to the left. Exhale, wash down. Inhaling up, bring the color visualization over the head, behind the back, and exhale, wash it down now. At the very least, you are scanning your body with the attention, the very least. So this is an exercise that everyone should do. And then tapping up. And I say that specifically, slap the inside and slap outside. Switch arms, slap the inside of the arm, outside. Then over the shoulders, back, slapping. I say at the very least because there are people that don't believe in chi, they don't believe in a lot of these exercises, ideas, and that's okay. You don't need to believe to gain benefit. And so that's part of the reason I don't talk too much about chi. I really want anybody and everybody to be able to get the benefit, and you're going to discover whatever you're ready to discover. That's not on me. So, but what it is on me is to build bridges to the excellence that anybody can have by slowing themselves down and speeding up their perception, and getting more data on themselves and their environment so they can make better, more informed decisions. So that's what I do my best to emphasize here. And I like to close that out with utilizing just the fingertips, meaning the fingertips themselves, not the hand, not the knuckles, but simply the specific fingertips. We're going to do what's called ocean of blood returns to its source. We do this a lot. We do this at the end of all of our training sessions. You're going to inhale and only lift the fingertips like they're climbing ropes or sucking in the air. And exhale, only the fingertips are lowered. Three more. Do your best to soften the elbows and shoulders. So only the fingertips have the attention. They're being lifted up. Exhale down. And one more. And rub the hands together. Flick the fingers out. Thumbs. 1, 2, 3. Grab. 1, 2, 3. Press and hold. And drill. Press around the palm. Second circle, third circle, the largest. And then top and bottom and sides. Massage the top and bottom of the fingers and the sides. The fingers receiving. Let the squeezing fingers fall into the receiving fingers, natural grooves, and you'll find these wonderful pressure points. And then one more. Other side, press and hold, and drill, tap, make circles, second circle wider, third circle, the widest on the palm, top and bottom, and sides, massage fingers. Massage the top and bottom all the way down to the fingernail and the sides. Top, bottom, and sides. Top and bottom, and sides. And finally, you can do this standing or sitting. Middle pillar breathing. And we'll inhale, draw the white light into the belly. The sound spreads to the whole body. Inhale, white light up the front of the body. Like a tidal wave. Exhale, roll down the back. Like a waterfall. A white light up the left side. Exhale, roll it down the right side. Inhale, right line to the belly. Exhale, push it down into the ground, let it come back up and around like a fountain in reverse, making a big bubble around. You want to use this sound and your sensitivity to the vibration to expand your awareness, your attention as far as you can go. So inhale, white line to the belly. Exhale, push the color and the sound to the top of the head. Feel the vibration spread out around you, whether you're paying attention to the sound waves or to the visualization itself. Then spread your attention all directions, fill your entire surroundings with white light, like a bubble around you. Have gratitude for the body, the good people in your life, the space that you're in. And thank you guys so much, as usual. And everyone knows this is Justice for Hire's Tai Chi to the People. So you can join the cast of Justice for Hire from justiceforhire.app. Be a part of a movie, show, cinematic universe that we are building, producing as a community worldwide. Fun stuff. You can invest in the company producing it, my startup company, film technology startup called Real World, REELWURLD, because you're in it. And that's on wefunder.com. Anybody can, wefunder.com/Real World, and anybody can own a part of the company and help us build this future of film and television. And of course, you can find me, Jan at Jan's Tai Chi, Coach Jan. And you can check out my Coach Jan's Patreon. That's patreon.com/Jan's Tai Chi. And I got my first subscriber a few weeks ago. So fun times. But that's shout out to Sam, who's helping to make these great Tai Chi videos, which I have coming out daily. So lots of love there to everybody. And thank you to Adam, who came and always adds value by his presence. Wonderful human.
Thank you so much, Jen. Looking forward to the next one.
Thank you, man. Love you all. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. Cheers.